So you're streaming this live or what?
Yep.
Okay.
Like usual.
Let's go ahead.
Apa dia tak tahu.
Yep. さっき僕の食べたやつもきっと持ってくればよかった。
そうですかね。でも傘されました。
窓マス振り込み
刺された。すごい
いやなんかずっとみんな言ってたから。
あ、Arima先生。
はい。
すごい。
そうでしょ。
窓マス。すごい。
これthis just is only only stuff in Comiket.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah. C88.
You were there.
No. We were there at C87. We C88 was the last week.
ああ、yes yes。
そうです。
あ
コミケのねシャフトのブースにシャフトのところに行って社長に今年40周年ですよね。僕にイラスト描け40周年おめでとうイラスト描けって言って
Nasu Comic, Fuyu Comic.
Winter summer.
So there's a winter summer comic can.
Yes.
And we won't go to the summer one because the summer one was too hot. So we always went to the Fuyu Comic.
これ実はワーナーさんとかに許可取って作ってるわけじゃないから、スタッフがその場で結局自分たちで面白がってきてる結局一般販売はできないんですよこれ。
ああ、まあ確かに。
一般販売できないんだからそれをまあ一応スタッフだってことで俺もスタッフだろって言ってもらってる。
ああ、okay, it's very good though.
Oh, by the way, we are live streaming this to the internet, so
大丈夫ですか？
これネットにアップしますよ。っていうか今まあ
生放送
インタビューを生放送になります。
ああだってこれ僕はシャフトのスタッフとしてこれもらってきただけだしでこれ
違います。インタビューの面接のことなんですけど。
あ今もう流れてるの？
流れてませんが大丈夫ですかって。
大丈夫ですか？
生放送だったら。
ああ別になんか俺まずいことしてあげるかもしれない。
いやいいです。いいですよ。大丈夫。はい、じゃあちょっと。
はい。
後にしましょう。はい。So how do you wanna do this actually?
we rotate.
Rotate.
Basically, how many questions you have?
Since
1, 2, 3,
there is
4,
no
5,
one-to-one
6,
session,
7,
it will be just group sessions. So we will spend an hour with Q&As. We'll just take
Half an
turns.
hour only.
Huh?
Half an hour.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
The time
It's
is
10:30 to
11, right?
11.
11
So
only.
it's half an
Oh,
hour.
so it's
That's fine. That's fine.
one-on-one. Who has requested for the one-on-one?
I think the video for the video interview.
Just okay.
Okay. So then we are doing this, then they are doing that. So half an hour for us, half an hour for you.
Alright, that's
Yeah, it's half 15, so it should be okay.
Okay.
Ah, dah jumpa.
Right,
Because we are combining questions, so we are like.
So basically, they'll be asking most of the questions.
順番に質問をしますので、でも取材自体はみんなでやりますので。
Alright, since there's 10 minutes left, I'm just gonna go for one round final calls. Alright?
Alright.
Oh yeah.
For the media?
It's good.
Yes.
It's good. Star's doing any exclusive interviews.
Sorry?
Gempa,
I think they do, but I think it's Yamaga and Sato. I think so.
You better clarify with them before they do something. They tell you that they actually have a session with him. So you better clarify first.
You didn't just sign for
あ
it.
そういう意味ですか。
取り合いじゃなくて。
They asked first, so
今
we
じゃ
get first.
あそういう順番でやっていきましょうって話をしているってことですね大体。
If possible, I'll try to get refreshments.
から15分の
No worries.
ちゃんと。
We don't
So,
mind.
how many questions do you
Huh?
have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
So you take the
ライト
floor?
はそっちに。
Huh?
Yep. You'll be asking all the questions.
Yeah.
And I just general.
So how was the traffic today?
The traffic was fine, but I was like, why is there no 7-Eleven open at this time in the morning?
Yeah, I tell you that 7-Eleven was 24 hours.
Exactly, I was shocked. I was like, I kept looking. I was like, okay. Then in the end, I asked the staff, somebody around. They said, oh, there's one inside the mall. Went inside the mall. It is not open.
Oh, wait, what?
I know, right? I was like, 7-Eleven is supposed to be 24 hours, right?
But maybe they're open from 7 to 11.
Yeah, that's the original 7-Eleven.
I face palm. In the end, I just
What time
never
came?
mind. Huh?
What time came?
I came about almost 9:30 because I'm supposed to get some stuff for him. That's why I want to do the center.
9:30 tak buka lagi? Oh, you.
No, it's a mall.
So I suppose it's in the mall, so 24
most open
hours
at 10.
don't apply to the ones in.
For convenience store, it's very inconvenient.
うちのコンビニは全然コンビニじゃねえよ。
セブンイレブンはあるの？
いや、一応さっきね、お茶を買うために、隣のモールで入ってきましたけど、
7-Eleven lah pergi lambat kerja jauh.
24時間のはずなのに。
ああ、そういうことか。
Apa-apa? Onigiri.
Come in.
お水は大丈夫ですか？
ここにあるよ。
じゃあちょっと後で誰かに。We don't have any runners, right? So.
Runners?
Right.
I might need.
People that yang kita boleh cakap, okay pergi ambil air, pergi ambil ni air.
They are too strapped on manpower right now.
Yalah, Jake lah.
So how many helpers actually turn up?
You do have numbers for that. You ask Fazmi for that.
Sorry. If not, I'll
Apa?
get it myself. But I'm
We
not
use
sure.
the other guy just now. Just get it out as our bitch.
Yeah. Sorry, can you please get us water?
I actually did ask the media registration for water, and they say it's locked somewhere
Are
hidden.
you serious?
Yes,
Okay.
somewhere hidden.
Holy shit.
Okay.
I didn't know.
I mean,
that.
at the very least,
The
you need.
management.
I mean, this is my opinion. Right? You should have water here, lah, just in case.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
should lah.
They should lah.
Even at least for the gas lah.
I've seen worse.
Yes,
What?
unfortunately.
So you
いいのか？ああ。
ちょうど目の位置に来てる。
Yeah. You might wanna. I don't know how you're gonna do this. This is right.
Yeah, too bright.
Dimit, do you really?
Right at his island, so it's a bit too blinding.
Ah, yeah.
You can even lower the tripod lah.
Yeah, but okay kot. Mabushi desu.
眩しいです。
Let's
ちょっと見えない。
just wait for the DSLRs with the flash.
Oh my god.
No, because we will ask him to take a picture there, like the mini studio there. So yeah, that would be brighter.
Because I cannot imagine if that's. I mean, because if he's looking at the camera and the lights like
Yeah.
shining, he's like. He'll be like doing this the whole time.
Your camera has a 30-minute limit as well.
All camera have 30 minutes, depending on your SD card. Usually it depends. If your SD card is 32 gig with 10 plus 10 lah, it can up to actually only 20 to 25 minutes maximum because it needs to have a cooldown. If the cooldown were not there,
Yeah, overheat.
overheat easily.
That's
Oh,
why.
we found water. God,
Ah, Mizu.
this is all that I have spent.
大丈夫。お疲れ。
I need to ask lah, why is water such a precious commodity here?
Huh?
You haven't seen Mad Max?
When you had to put it that way. So, anyways, anyone needs refreshments?
Pass one to the
Jauh.
Yes. You want to? Oh,
Just put it
Just
in the
put it
water
down,
underneath.
Right.
お水が来ましたね。大丈夫ですかね。
Alright. Okay, we got 3 minutes left.
僕が取材中に。
そうですよ。
Stop reading.
Looks like he's kind of taking a picture of everybody.
No.
これる機会そんなないからね。
そんなないんですか？まあ大体こっち側なんですから
い
ね。
やだからこれで例えば僕なんかだと漫画に描くときに例えばねアイドルの女の子描いたりしたらそこに女の子がいるよっていう設定で撮れる。
そっか。Stop images. So that he can use it for future reference.
Hi.
Imagine if he's drawing a scene where there's an idol and he has to like interview. So he will take this picture and then he will draw the
Well, that is one of my questions.
I think it's like how it takes stock. It's like, I guess it's like how it takes stock.
Great. More coming.
Oh, stop.
We're about to start in 2 minutes. So, with that.
No one.
だからそこで写真撮るかもしれないからその時にちょっとだけ。
Sarah? You're comfortable with that, right?
I'm pretty good with that.
Okay.
I just hope that your mic can.
Can,
You're gonna have your face shown on the live feed.
Nah, I'll try not to. So I guess the camera should just be on him, right?
Yep.
Is it?
Oh.
Is it?
Set properly, it is. You need to set up.
Up. Dia terang saja. Oh. Okay.
good, right? Because
Yes.
Check 1, 2.
1 minute.
Who's that?
余計なこと考えずに日本語で普通に最初から全部言った方がいいんだろうね。
いや、いいんじゃないですか。どっちかっていうと、日本語を英語を混ざってくれれば多分面白そうかもしれないし。
Hello, hello, Malaysian people and came from Japan.
言います。
Hello, hello.
いきます。
Alright, it's 10:30, so
Okay.
shall we begin?
Okay. Right.
Oops.
Alright, good morning everyone. Welcome again to VX's second day on Saturday to our to our first press conference of the day featuring Arima Keitaro. Right, he is a mangaka famous for his work Tsukuyomi Moon Phase. He's also the lecturer for Osaka University of Arts, and he will later on facilitate a workshop at 12 p.m. inside. So to cut things short, let's begin. Who wants to start first?
Okay. Arima-san, how did you start drawing?
どんな風に始めたか。子供の頃から大好きで。
So you liked drawing when you was a kid.
Yeah. And どういうのだろう。
きっかけとかありますか？
いや、僕物心ついた時だからそれはもう目の前にそういうねテレビを見れば漫画ありますよね。でこういう面白い世界っていうのを、自分も好きだし自分でも描いてみたいというのはどの時点でそう思ったのか自分でもわからない。
Okay, so for him, there wasn't really a very clear starting point. It was just that because he was, I think like many fans, he was very interested in manga, anime, and when he looked at especially anime on the television, he just wanted to try drawing it by himself. So it wasn't a clear start, but because of his interest, he eventually just started drawing out of interest.
小学生の頃から描いてたのは確かです。
Oh, since elementary school. Okay.
So growing up, who was your favorite mangaka and what was your favorite manga?
ね、一番好きな漫画とか好きな漫画。
いや、すいません。あまりにも数多く好きなものがありすぎてどれを選ぶというのはtoo many.
でも
I can't choose.
じゃあ憧れるのがありますか？
憧れも今はそれ言えない。
言えないですか？
なぜかというと自分がなっていかなきゃと思ってる。自分が自分の理想とする作家とかそういうものに自分でならなきゃならないと思ってるんで、それを人に選んじゃいけないと思っています。
はあ、自分がそこまでいけないと
どういう人になっていくかという自分で選ぶものだから、他のこの人みたいになりたい、あの人みたいになりたいっていうようなことしちゃうと他の人にね、そういう責任を負わしちゃう。自分で選んだ道を歩んでいかないと思ってます。
Because there's too many, he finds it difficult to pinpoint a favorite because there's too many. And then what I did was I was asking whether there was somebody he looked up to, and actually he gave us a very interesting response. He doesn't feel it's right to say to look up to someone because he feels that it's important to choose his own path as an illustrator and as a mangaka in a sense. So rather than say he looks up to someone, he wants to be his own creator. So that was one of the reasons why he said he couldn't identify one.
Okay, question?
Okay. What kind of drawing utensils does Arima Sensei use?
Okay. 絵を描くときにどんなツールを使いますか？
僕は世代的になんていうんだろうな、ちょうど中間層なんですよね。もうアナログをやってからデジタル化をしていっているちょうどその中間層で、例えば僕より年上の人はもう本当にアナログだけで、僕よりも年下の人たちって最初からデジタルの環境があったりするので、ちょうど両方をやってます。
それをも使います。
そうですね。
でも例えばツールとしては自分がこれを使いますよとかそういう。
今は今はほとんどデジタルでやってるんですが、わざとペン入れっていうか重線なんかはアナログのものを取り込んで、それでデジタル化しています。それはなぜかというとデジタルの上だけでペンを引いてしまうと個性が出にくかったりするんですよね。だから結構今日本もそうなんですけども、一旦全部デジタル化した後に元にアナログの線をわざわざ引いて戻していったりとか、そういう現象が結構起こってるんですよ。
Because in terms of generation, when he started, it was right between the pen and paper analog style versus the digital style. So he actually uses both in his creations. What's interesting though is he tends to like ink in his illustrations first before digitalizing them. One of the reasons because he finds that if you just use the computer alone, it's quite difficult for the individuality of the character to come up. So even in Japan now, what happens is even if a lot of people use the computers or software to do their illustrations or to draw, they actually will manually ink the lines and then digitalize them just so that you could get the character across better. So, but I'm not sure whether he has a very specific favorite tool to use.
なんかね、人によってさっき言ったけどそれこそデジタルの線をデジタル上で結局ね液晶タブレットで書くときにいかに線をちょっとアナログっぽくするためにわざわざ調整したりとか、そういうことをやってる人もいます。だから端がちょっとギザギザになったりとかちょっと線にそういう人間っぽいものをわざとつけるように自分それぞれになんか微調整したりして使ってる人たちもいるぐらいなので、いかにもう今はデジタルであればいいってわけじゃなくて、いかに個性をその中で出していくのかっていうような流れにはなっていってると思います。ただし僕はそこまでの域にはあまり達してないのでアナログのものをそのまま取り込んだりとか、そういう。
So to elaborate on the point about how this trend is happening in Japan, apparently even with fully digital prints or illustrations, there are actually creators who would purposely try to recreate, in a sense, a human touch to the illustration. So they would actually make, I won't say flaws, but for example, try and imitate actual pen movements on the tablet, and they would actually adjust it just so that it looks like an actual manual piece of work. But for him, because he feels like he hasn't gotten to that level, so he prefers to just draw it manually on a piece of paper, scan it, digitalize it.
Next question.
Since you are lecturing in Osaka University, and you mentioned how the analog and digital drawing has both benefits and disadvantages. So how would Arima Sensei address to this to students who want to go for either digital or analog?
さっきもおっしゃった通りなんですが、今はアナログもデジタルもとても大事なんですが、例えば大阪の今まで講座をやってますので、教えることがあって、例えば生徒が私これだけを宣伝したいという思いがあれば、例えばどういうアドバイスとかそういうのがありますか？例えば私だったらデジタルだけをやりたい。
少なくともうちの大学でのプログラムとしては、まず基本、最初にアナログで、作業をさせて、それこそ僕が歩んできたかなり年上の先生も多いですし、まず基本としてのアナログ作業っていうのを実際にやってもらってます。でこれも一つのこれから多分どんどんデジタル化していくと思うんですけれども、例えば日本でも週刊連載の現場は今はでもまだ7割方と8割方はアナログなんです、週刊連載の方は。で逆に月刊連載ですとかそういうところはデジタル化がどんどん進んでいってます。これその現場によってちょっと 違うので両方やってるっていうところはあるんですよ。本当に細かいところになると、実は、週刊連載ってものすごい忙しいって分かりますよね。週刊連載の現場って基本はアナログでの作業だから回ってるんですよ。デジタル化しちゃうとスピード落ちるんです。
そうなんですか。
実は。
Okay, so well, he isn't too sure because in the program that he teaches, they actually get the students to engage in the analog style first, so to get them to do pen and paper drawing first. Because, well, I think what happens in the university is a lot of the lecturers are from that era. They think that it's important for you to start off by drawing manually, then only enter the digital section. Also, when you're involved in different aspects of illustrations, animation, or manga drawing in Japan, they actually different studios or different aspects of the work actually uses different styles. So, for example, if you do weekly serialization, they actually will prefer you to do it manually, because if you do if you draw things digitally for manga, the speed actually drops, so it's actually faster for them to churn out the manuscript manually. Versus if you do certain other illustration works, they might prefer if you just use digital, and there are certain kinds of work where you have to use both. So I think the trend now is to sort of be able to do both over there.
細かいところを言うと、多分そういう現場ってみんな知らないから、週刊連載の現場っていうのは本当にギリギリのスケジュールで物事を動かしてるんですね。で最後になると1ページの原稿をコマごとに切り分けて、それを一つ一つのコマごとにこう作業してるんですよ。特に本当に忙しくなると。でも漫画のファイルって、漫画の今のソフトのファイルってページごとの単位でしょ。つまり1人の人が担当できるのが1ページ単位なんですよ。最後に本当にもう数日間しかないときにページの中をこう分けて作業できないんで、最後の5時間とかそれぐらいの時間を短縮させるってことを考えると、デジタルの方がものすごく最後にスピードアップができなくなっちゃうんですよ。
ラストスパートができない。
そう、人がいっぱいいてもその1ページに手出せるのが1人しかいないっていう状態になるんですよ、週刊連載だと。
So to be more specific, for example, when you do weekly serialization, if you draw the panels manually and you're in the last minute rush, it's actually possible to cut up the panels and have your assistants be in charge of one panel each. Versus if you do it on a digital software, it's not panel based, it's page, yeah? So if, for example, if you're really in a rush, there's no way for you to tell this person do this panel. So only one person can work on one page at a time, which is why it actually is a lot slower. So it's actually faster, I suppose, just manually.
Next question.
So, continuing on that, is there any different? What's the schedule like between working on a weekly serialization versus monthly serialization?
週刊と月刊の締め切りというか時間性はどこが違いますか？
ですから実はちゃんとスケジュールを立てて、きっちりとこの日にこれまで進めて、この日には必ずそれが終わらせられますっていう人であれば、今言った多分デジタル化もできるでしょう。でも、多分皆さんも漫画の雑誌とかいろんな漫画家の偽ってそういう伝説とか聞いたことありますよね。でギリギリするとそんなことをやってる人たちが最後にそれに間に合うのかっていう。
そうですね。でも例えば週刊と月刊考えると
だから週刊の方がやっぱり短いスパンでどんどんやっていかなきゃならないじゃないですか。で月刊の場合はだから月刊の方はどんどんデジタル化が進んでるんですよ。でこれは実際いろんな出版社の方から聞いてる話なんですけれども、週刊連載の現場では今でも、アナログの作家さんが、7割とかなんだけど、逆に月刊の方は7割8割がもうデジタル化している。だから月刊と週刊でちょうどもう書いて作家のアナログとかデジタル化っていうのを逆転している状態になってます。
Because in terms of timing, it's definitely a lot tighter for weekly serialization. So it was interesting because there's actually this a reverse trend going on right now between weekly serialization and monthly serialization. Because there's more time for the monthly serialization, more and more artists are turning to the digital media, because essentially towards the end you have more time to sort of work with your manuscript, but the weekly serialization, because of the fast pace and everything, it's mostly manual. So literally, if you work on a weekly serialization, 70 to 80% of the artists will use paper and pen. But if you're on the monthly serialization, 70 to 80% will use digital software. So it's actually quite interesting.
もしかしたらこういう情報に関しては、本当に僕一番詳しい部類かもしれない。なぜかというと、普通作家って同じ種類の雑誌で連載してる人で固まるんですよ。そしたらそこの周りだけの情報になるでしょ。でも僕そういう意味だったら、例えばうちの大学に編集さんとかが来る時とかにある程度話聞いたりしてるのね。だからこっちの編集部ではどうだ、こっちではどうだって作家のそういう話を聞いた上での話をさせていただきます。
So he just wanted to sort of clarify that maybe this is just based on what he's seen and what he's heard, because perhaps if for those who are actually doing the serialization, it might be different, or if there are individual differences between publishing companies, but based on the talks that he's had with the publishers that come to lecture or come to meet up with the students in the university, this is the kind of information that he's been getting.
Just to remind everyone, we have 15 minutes left. Next question.
Okay. When Tsukuyomi Moonface was announced to be elected to be an anime, what was his reaction? What was his feeling?
一番最初、つくよみがアニメ化っていう放送というか情報が入った途端に、どういういや実際どういうシチュエーションでした？急に。
実は本当はどちらかというとそういうなんてかなり人によってそういう時の編集さんによって反応が違うらしいんですよ。
あ、そうなんですか。
だから僕の時は結局かっきりと決まるまでは一言も言ってくれなかったんです。
そうなんですか。
っていうのはもともと実は裏から僕は聞いてはいたことあるんですよ。けれども編集さんが一言も言ってくれなかったからまた冗談でしょって思ってた。
そうなんですね。
っていうのは結局ぬか喜びやっぱり企画っていうのは流れることもものすごく多いの。じゃあ本当にあるよって言ってなくなっちゃって、実際僕も友達の作家さんでものすごい人気のある作品でアニメ化の話で動いてるのを実は結構ずっと知ってる作品が途中でパンって流れちゃったって知ってるから、それの方が辛いじゃない。だからちゃんと決まってから教えてくれたっていうのはとてもありがたかったですね。
So for him it was definitely aesthetic, but he shared that apparently depending on the publisher or the anime production companies, the reactions differ a little, because in his case he has been hearing rumors like prior to the announcement, but because the actual company hasn't said a word, he thought like, okay, maybe everybody's joking, so he didn't really take it seriously until they told him that he was like obviously yahoy, that kind of feeling. But it's harder, I guess, because there are certain artists in Japan where they hear about the rumors and then they get their hopes up, and then halfway through the company decided that they want to drop the series. That's a lot harder for them. So it really depends.
Again about Tsukuyomi anime, how does he like the opening theme, Nekomi Mimodo? Nekomi Mimodo って大好きですか？
ですね、あれは僕がいい質問です。僕のあれ初めて見たのはアフレコ声優さんたちがアフレコした第1回の時に僕初めて見たんですよ、オープニングのを。で、それまではスタッフの誰も見てなくて、いきなりそこでアフレコ会場で公開されたんですが、横に辛坊監督のフットボールをむっと見たらずっとニヤニヤ笑っていて、僕とあと声優の斉藤千和さんだとか神谷博さんとかがポカーンってする これなんだろうって顔してるんですよ。でそれまで知らなかった見てでもなかったのにこれが選ばれるとは最初に曲が何曲かあってどんな曲がいいですかってね、フライングドッグっていう会社の方から候補の曲を聞かされてるんですよ。一番これねえなと思ってたんですけど、これ
ねえなと思ってて
やつが選ばれてたんでびっくりした。
はい、わかりました。Okay, so actually the first time he actually saw the opening was during a recording, the voiceover recording session. So it was actually quite interesting because when he was there sitting with the other seiyus, they actually showed them the opening. And although the director looked at it and then he turned to the side, he started like sort of smiling and laughing and secretly by himself. And himself and the seiyus, Kamiya-san to Sakashima-san, they actually just started. They kind of looked very blurred. And I'm like, what in the world is this? Because apparently what happened was the studio Flying Dog or the company Flying Dog actually gave them several songs to choose from, sort of like preview and stuff. And all three of them thought, I don't think this song would be chosen. Like, this is not it. And then that was the song they chose. So.
いや、さすがにごめん、よく考えたら選ばれてるのはちゃんと知ってはいたけども、こうなるとは思ってなかった。
こうなるとは思ってなかった。
というのは実は曲はフランスのディミトロ・プロムファリさんという方が作ってくださった曲なんですけれども、これをもっともうさっきも言ったように本当にこれが選ばれるとは思ってなかったけども、選ばれるってなっちゃったら仕方がないので仕方ないごめんなさい。曲の中にあれってね、曲が流れながらセリフがポツンポツンといろいろ日本語のセリフが入ってる中だけども、何かセリフないかって言われて、例えばフルフルフルムーンって言葉だとは俺が考えたのね。
実際そういうふうに
実際にセリフ何かこれをそのままディムトルさんに作ってもらうにしても、なんか音源音を入れなきゃならないってことで言葉を選んでくれって言われて、じゃあどんなのがいいかなって
じゃああれが選びました。
フルフルフルムーンって言葉を作ったのは俺なんですが、
そうなんですか。わかりました。
でもだからといってあれはもともとラブラブモードっていう曲があるんですよ、有名な。女の子が日本人の女の子がずっとラブラブモードですって言ってる曲があるんですけども、それをそのままネコインモードになるのかと思ったら全部作り直してきたんですよ、そのディミトリさんが。だからこそ驚いちゃった。やる気じゃないか。
そうですね。Okay, so just to elaborate on the point, and of course they knew. I mean, in a sense, of course, when they chose it, they were informed of it, so it wasn't like a totally uninformed decision. He just didn't expect it to turn out the way it turned out, especially because the song was produced in France, and they actually told him that although the lyrics and everything is provided, they need some sort of like I can't say it's a catchphrase or like a background, So in the end, they actually gave him some options to choose from. So obviously the Furu Moon part was chosen by Arima-san, and of course also additionally, originally at that time there was a song called Love Love Mode in Japan, and they were wondering whether it's going to be something similar to that song, and then they realized that actually what they did was they kind of remake the whole song. So it was like, oh, so that's how they decided to make it. That's why he was surprised.
Sorry, we only have 7 minutes left, so most likely we only can. Yeah, one last question.
No, two.
Okay, we'll just make it 2. Anyone else? You two, ladies, in the back. No questions? Just 2 questions. Yuri?
Just this one is from me. Just wondering if you're familiar with the manga Bakuman. And
バクマンはします。
漫画家の生活で。わかります。
Just wondering if it's if what's being portrayed in that manga is actually very familiar to what actual mangakas.
バクマンの話って確かに漫画家の生活っていうかね、道を描かれる物語なんですけど、どうですか？本当のそういうものなんですかね。 どうですかね。あれ、顔。
いや、どうしよう。
ちょっと違うねって。
言って
いけないことなんですよ。
わからないの。
わからないの。
ね、後でいろいろ喋る。いやでもまず漫画家を目指すということにおいてああいう熱い気持ちになるっていうのは非常によく分かってます。ただ結局そこに結局今こうむにょむにょってなってる部分はじゃあ現実としてどうなのかってなった時に漫画じゃあこれはもう素直に言っちゃおう。結局漫画を描くという状態に対してただ漫画を描きたいあそこの作品の中でもあったと思うけれども漫画を描くためにはいろんな経験をしてたりとかそういうことが結構重要だったりすると思ってます。だから漫画だけを描いていて漫画のことだけをやっていれば面白い漫画を描けるのかっていうところに関して僕ちょっと疑問を持ってるところがあるんですよ。あれってただ好きなの面白いものを描くぞって言ったら描いてるじゃない。でも自分でいろんな経験をしてないのにそんなに描けるっていうみたいなところの部分でちょっと引っかかりがあるんですよ。こんなものを描けるっていうのがただ才能だけでしょ。でも才能とかっていうのはある程度やっぱり自分たちの経験の中で作られていく部分っていうのは絶対あるから。
話作りもね確かに
ただしお話としては僕はあれは面白いと思ってるんだけどそうですね。だから現実にあれでそれをただひたすら書いていれば面白いものが書けるのかっていうとまたちょっと違うのかなっていうふうには思ってる。
So I suppose I can't quite say why he was laughing just now, so it's okay. But in terms of the portrayal, not so much of the environment, but the spirit of wanting to chase, their dreams of being mangaka. He said he really felt it through the work. Also, commenting on the realities of drawing manga. One of the things that perhaps was portrayed also in Bakuman and which he thinks is actually quite important is that it's very important for the creators to have different kinds of experience. So if, for example, you just focus on, I'm just going to draw manga, I'm not going to do other things, it may be very difficult to create interesting works. So that was one of the things which he agreed with, and he felt it's not to say impossible, but he doesn't think that you can just do manga alone without experiencing different things as a creator. So that's his opinion about the manga world in general.
エンターテインメントとしてあれは正解なんです。
Well, for entertainment, the story was good. Yeah.
でも本当に漫画家になるっていう例えばあれをきっかけにして漫画家になってみたいは OK。で本当に漫画家になりたいんだったらあれでパッションでですね情熱を受け止めた後にじゃあ実際にどういうものが必要かっていうのは別のことなんだっていうそこが多分重要だと思います。
はい。So I mean, as a manga, it's definitely very interesting, and he thinks that for example, if you read or watch Bakuman and then you want to become a manga because of that, I think he thinks it's a great starting point. But after that, what do you actually have to do? It may not have, in a sense, the information may not be complete in a sense. So.
One last question, preferably a yes/no question.
Yes, no question. Okay, very simple. That shirt he's wearing is actually from Comic Shaft. And only staff will wear it. How did he get that?
そうさっきの T シャツの話なんですけどどうやって手に入れましたかというすごくわかりますよ。シャフトのスタッフさんだけがもらえる T シャツなのにどうやって
いや今年はシャフトが40周年なんだそうです。
そう。So it's a 4th anniversary, right?
それで40周年のおめでとうって書いたおめでとうイラストとかそういうものを僕に書いてくださいって頼まれたんですよ。
So they asked him to draw like a congratulatory image.
分かった書くからくれって。分かった書く。
So I said, okay, I'll draw it. Just give me a T-shirt. So that was how he got it. So because it's not for purchase, that's why.
ものすごく困ってました。
そうなんですか。でも結局もらいましたね。
そうです。最初 M サイズのものを差し上げますって言われたんだけれども、俺が着たいから L にしてくれって。
So apparently at first they were going to give him an empty shirt. Then he said, "It's okay. I actually want to wear it. Give me L." So yes, that's how he got his T-shirt.
Alright. I think that concludes the session. Everyone, you can feel free to take a photo of him.
Sure.
Biar dia dulu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.